Unit Chief Steve Woodell, CAL FIRE, the Santa Clara unit. I'd like to welcome you all here today to help us observe and prepare for the upcoming fire season, and also observe the beginning of Wildland Fire Awareness Week. I have some people, some dignitaries here I'd like to introduce to you. First is Chief Kim Zagaris, Cal EMA Fire and Rescue. Assistant Chief Demetrius Schaefer from Alameda County Fire. Fire Chief George Day, Federal Fire Concord. Fire Chief Bruce Martin, City of Fremont. Fire Chief Ken Blonsky, East Bay Regional Parks. Police Chief Tim Anderson, East Bay Regional Parks. Fire Chief Darrell Lauder, Contra Costa Consolidated Fire Protection District. Chief Deputy Director for CAL FIRE Janet Berenson. And Chief Ken Pimlott, Director of the Department of Forestry.
I guess that's my cue, huh? Thank you, Steve. Ken Pimlott, Director, CAL FIRE, and thank you today for taking the opportunity to share this event with us. We are spending the week across California at events like this to get the word out to the public, to show that their fire agencies and cooperators are prepared, and we're asking them now to prepare themselves for fire season, for the peak of fire season as it approaches. Last week, I was in the East Bay area for our the annual readiness exercises that our fire crews do across the state with our cooperators to prepare for fire season. And as I was driving into to the East Bay, into Lake Chabot, it really struck me how much watershed land, how much wildland is in the Bay Area. We focus on and we tend to get caught up in the urban environment, but there is a significant amount, thousands of acres of wildland surrounding the Bay Area that are critical watersheds to the state of California and to the Bay Area. That's CAL FIRE's core mission, is protection of those watershed lands, and certainly with all of our cooperators that you see behind me carrying that mission out across not only the Bay Area but across California. Also, I was reminded as on the drive home, I took the opportunity to stop by Contra Costa County Fire Station 15 in Lafayette. I started my career there as a reserve firefighter almost 30 years ago. It was an opportunity for me to stop and visit with the fire station personnel. It's amazing across California how the fire service has so much in common and why we are so connected and work in such a cooperative environment. We were all thinking towards the same issues. We're all spending this time of year preparing for the peak of fire season. They too were talking about training and the various courses they're going through at this time of year to prepare themselves for fire season. So this is a perfect opportunity that as we engage as the fire service, it's an opportunity for the public to engage in preparing. The conditions in California this year, as we've talked about already in the media and are going to continue to talk about this week and into the summer, we have conditions that are conducive to significant wildland fire activity across the state. 3 months early in the season with little or no rainfall, and despite the late season rains that we received in April and May, we are still seeing at least 50% below normal rainfall in many areas of the state. What this means for us, despite some of the green grass you still see, what this means is that the heavier fuels, the brush, are significantly dry, and much drier than they were in the last 2 years. And so as the weather warms up, as we get longer days, winds, low humidities, high temperatures, all of those fuels are in a position where they will burn and have the potential, like California does every year, to burn in catastrophic proportions. And with that, California has already seen, CAL FIRE has been responding to a significant more wildland fires so far this year than we have last year and the 5-year average. So it's critical. We're preparing, we're doing all the things that we need to do, but it's critical that residents of California, homeowners, step in and do their part. 94% of the wildland fires in California are started by people, are human caused. What that tells us is that 94% of the fires can be prevented. If people start them, people can prevent them. And so you're going to see, again, very aggressive public education campaign from the fire service in California to help homeowners and property owners understand what they need to do, what you need to do to prepare yourself. That's what Wildfire Awareness Week in California is all about. Again, we are traveling across the state this week to get that message out. A key website that you can go to is www.readyforwildfire.org. That award-winning website will walk you as a property owner, as a resident, or as a visitor to California's wildlands through all of the things you need to do to make you and your family fire safe and to help firefighters do their job when they're responding to a fire in your community. A key element of the fire safety message, a key element of that website is what we call Ready, Set, Go. 3 simple key messages as part of that website. The ready part is do everything you can as a property owner, as a homeowner, to be ready. The key message there is take care of your defensible space. You're required by law to clear at least 100 feet of flammable vegetation away from your residence. That's something, and you can see in the hills behind us here today, that's key to give firefighters a fighting chance to help protect your home, reduce that fuel loading, reduce that vegetation so firefighters can safely and effectively protect your home and put the wildland fire out. The next piece of that is the set. You as a homeowner need to develop a disaster plan for your family, whether it's for a wildland fire or for the many other disasters that we are known for in California, earthquakes, floods, all of those things. Have that disaster plan prepared and exercised by your family well in advance of the disaster. The last piece is go. And what that means is be prepared to evacuate the moment you're aware of the fire. The fire coming down on your house is too late. Have a plan, have your family ready to go. Oftentimes fire behavior changes very quickly and you won't have time to make a decision about that later. So evacuate immediately. So again, the key message, again, is we want property owners, we want the residents of California to be prepared like the fire service is, so we as a team can mitigate and protect lives and property and protect the natural resources of California. With that, I would like to invite Chief Waddell to come forward and work on present 2 plaques on behalf of the Director of CAL FIRE.
Yes, this is in recognition of CAL FIRE's Partnership Award, and I'd like to have Chief Darrell Lauder and Chief Bruce Martin from the City of Fremont step forward, please.
These 2 plaques are in recognition of the East Bay Incident Management Team, made up of fire professionals from both Alameda and Contra Costa County that have organized in the East Bay to provide an incident management team to respond to those emerging disasters and incidents, including wildland fires, that befall the Bay Area. This is in appreciation for outstanding contribution to CAL FIRE for several team activations within the Santa Clara unit. Your performance has been exceptional, and your professional level of service is recognized by all. The citizens of Alameda and Contra Costa counties are well served by the incident management team. We are proud of our ongoing relationship, both with all of the team members and certainly with the fire departments that are participating in this team. I want to thank both of you again for your leadership and commitment to us. A second award, I would like to invite our communications staff from CAL FIRE to step forward. Daniel Berlant, Matt Woods, Mary Welna, and Alyssa Smith. Come on up and step forward right next to me here. Every fire department in the state I know has these same kind of individuals. They are the ones that make us all look good. And we wanted to take just a second to recognize these 4 individuals and their program. They have recently received what's called the Bronze Smoky Award It's a national recognition that, again, we have 50 states that have an opportunity to receive this award, and these individuals were chosen out of all 50 for this award. It's for their dedicated public education effort that they have done using some grant funds and utilizing the social media. As part of the program is our department's what we call CAL FIRE TV, or the YouTube channel. They have produced professional quality, studio quality productions that, as far as we're concerned, rival any production studio from a TV or movie production company. And in reality, done this from a closet on the 15th floor of the resources building. And literally, I've been in there several times. They have hung green sheets around the sides. We've had to ask all of the people in the adjoining offices to turn their phones off so that we can get through interviews until they get done with this. But when it comes out on YouTube, and we all know how we reach the public in this current age is not through the traditional means. The ability for low production costs, short duration video that gets the message home to on the internet, on Twitter, on Facebook. Those are the means by which really socially, certainly the youth and the younger generation, but collectively across the country and the world, most people are relating to. Well, they've been able to capitalize on that. And again, this Bronze Smoky Award, it's the highest honor that can be bestowed by the state, by the National Association of State Foresters for public education efforts. I am beyond extremely proud of this group for the efforts they have done. And it's not just about CAL FIRE. Their messages are about the fire service in general, often in conditions. And thank you all very much for what you've done for us. Yeah, I got to get back. All right. All right, they got work to do, so we're going to have them step in. With that, I would like to invite Julia Levin, our Deputy Secretary for Climate and Energy from the California Natural Resources Agency, to step forward and present for us. Thank you. Julia.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming out on such a beautiful day. I want to start by thanking all of the firefighters behind me, starting with CAL FIRE, the National Guard, Alameda and Contra Costa County, the East Bay Parks, and other local agencies that really are our first line of defense against fires. And every single one of these men and women put their lives on the line to protect our lives, our homes, and our communities. And you all are my heroes. I think every one of them deserves a Bronze Smoky and other awards. So I want to thank them all for coming out with this important message about the launch or the beginning of our official fire season and the need to protect our homes and our communities and our forests and our other public spaces from the risks of wildfire. As Chief Pimlott mentioned, California naturally experiences a lot of fire. Some years are worse than others, but it is a natural part of our environment. Unfortunately, the risk of fire is increasing in California beyond what has been natural and normal in the past, and that's for a variety of reasons. Number one is where and how we've developed. We have unfortunately put a lot of homes and communities in high fire hazard areas, and that makes fighting those fires and protecting those homes and communities much more difficult, although CAL FIRE, our local firefighters, National Guard, and others are working closely together now to do the best they can to protect those homes and communities. Another reason, though, that we're at increased and increasing risk of forest fire is because of climate change and the changes that we're already experiencing in California. Chief Pimlott mentioned the drought and reduced rainfall as well as reduced snowpack in California. We know from past experience that the less snow there is and the sooner in the season it melts, the longer and more severe the fire season is in California. And with global warming, we will have significantly reduced snowpack. It will melt earlier in the season. We'll have increased summer temperatures, more severe winds, more severe electrical storms that can trigger fires, and all of those things put all parts of California, but especially the drier parts, at greater risk of wildfire. So the preventative measures that Chief Pimlott talked about are only going to become more important over time, that we protect our homes and our businesses and our communities. So in addition to the work of CAL FIRE, I wanted to mention one other really important effort that the state is undertaking, which is to promote small-scale, environmentally sustainable biomass energy. And you may ask, well, what does that have to do with reducing fire risks? Well, for a combination of reasons, we've managed our forests in California and some of our other wild spaces in an unsustainable way. And there is an excessive and unnatural level of fuel in many of our forests. And that means that when fire hits, the fire is going to burn much faster and much hotter and be much more dangerous and harder to put out. So one way to reduce that fuel in an environmentally sustainable way is to gather an appropriate amount and use it to create energy. That not only has the benefit of reducing risks of fires, but it creates local energy supply, sometimes local heat for hospitals and schools and industrial purposes. It provides jobs and income to mostly rural communities in California that have been very hard hit the last few years. This is a part of Governor Brown's larger plan to develop 12,000 megawatts of small-scale, environmentally sustainable distributed generation, so small, renewable energy throughout the state. But for small-scale biomass in particular, it has enormous benefits for fire reduction. So CAL FIRE, the U.S. Forest Service, the Resources Agency, the Public Utilities Commission, and others have been working to develop community-scale biomass so that we do reduce our fire risk in our forested areas of the state. But here in the inside of the Oakland Hills, where we experienced such a tragic fire 20 years ago, it's also important that we take measures to protect urban areas and to protect our homes and communities. So please do visit the website that Chief Pimlott mentioned and be sure that you take every measure you can to protect your home and your family and your business from fire, because, as I said, it is only going to become a bigger risk over time in California. And again, thank you to all of the firefighters, the men and women behind me. And with that, I would like to ask Unit Chief Steve Woodall to come back up. He's the Unit Chief for the Santa Clara unit of CAL FIRE.
Yeah, thank you, Julia. Yeah, as the Unit Chief of the Santa Clara unit, and the Santa Clara unit, I think it's important to point out, includes all of Alameda County, all of Contra Costa County, all of Santa Clara County, portions of San Joaquin County, and portions of Stanislaus County. I think you can see with a unit that size, it's very important to all of us that we have a lot of local government cooperation. The plaques that were handed out earlier are very significant. The East Bay Incident Command team, made up of all of the departments in both Alameda and Contra Costa County, have really done a lot of good work for the citizens of the state of California and the area here. The Santa Clara unit is now beginning to prepare for what we call our transitional staffing period. As you can see, the vegetation is beginning to turn already. We have our training plans, our hiring plans in place, and very shortly, over the next few weeks, we'll begin staffing our engines, dozers, and our helicopter located at Alma. I think it's also very appropriate that it was mentioned that we're really within sight, or within a mile, mile and a half of where the tunnel fire started in 1991. And then I think it's also very appropriate that I introduce Battalion Chief Melinda Drayton from the Oakland Fire Department. Thank you.
First of all, welcome to Oakland. My name is Melinda Drayton. I'm a Battalion Chief for Oakland Fire, as well as a proud member of the East Bay Incident Management Team. The Oakland Fire Department is working with its partners in the Hills Emergency Forum and Diablo Fire Safe Council to collaborate on fuel removal in the Oakland Hills. Oakland Fire continues to support and enforce the defensible space requirements through inspections of properties located in the Wildfire Prevention Assessment District of Oakland. On May 21st, the Oakland Fire Department will send approximately 28,000 inspection notices to Oakland residents, providing educational and annual inspection notices to Oakland residents regarding defensible space and property protection. While our primary goal is compliance through education, we do at times have to get compliance through enforcement. The Oakland Fire Department is committed to ensure that out-of-compliance properties meet the defensible space requirements. The City of Oakland and the Oakland Fire Department continue to expand its public and private partnerships with community groups to reduce the flammable fuels in high-risk fire neighborhoods. Projects such as Shepherd Canyon, Beaconsfield Canyon, and Garber Park are examples of these joint projects. The support of these community members and their groups is vital in promoting wildfire prevention in the city of Oakland. The Wildfire Prevention Assessment District Advisory Committee also serves as a strong and important link to our community and our fire department in promoting wildfire prevention safety. As we know, wildfires have no boundaries, and it takes this joint effort with neighbors, advocacy groups, and public and private agencies to protect and preserve the urban interface communities of our city. Thank you. Oh, I'm done. I have another job. I'd like to introduce Robert E. Doyle, the East Bay Regional Parks General Manager.
Thank you very much, and good morning, and thank you to the dedicated men and women standing behind me and in front of me who put their lives on the line to protect home, property, and the public every year. East Bay Regional Park District is proud to be here in one of our historic parks today. It is a very beautiful site, but 21 years ago, this was the center of a firestorm in the Oakland Hills fire that took 3,000 houses from their owners and from a terrible, terrible disaster at that time. Today, it is hard to believe that we're standing and looking out across an area that was devastated by this fire. We should not let the public nor the firefighters who put their lives on the line forget what happened here 21 years ago. It jumped 2 freeways and took out all the houses in back of me, even though the park green space was in between. We need to rededicate ourselves to public education and to safety for both firefighters as well as the public, and never forget what happened. The East Bay Regional Park District's staff were on that line. Their firefighters fought bravely at that time and actually saved several houses and the property in those houses and evacuated people at that time. Those people, those firefighters that were on that line that day are forever remembered by the Park District by a new booklet that we have put out to remind people what happened 21 years ago, because what you see today and what this picture shows are dramatically different from the reality that most people think about in this beautiful area. We must have the public's support and cooperation to save lives and property and to protect our dedicated firefighters when they try to respond to these fires. We should not forget. We should make sure that every individual living in these areas is doing their part to help firefighters and the agencies who are dedicated to safety protect everyone by doing what they can on their properties to give defensible space and to cooperate with firefighting agencies and staff. It is very important. It is critical. There is a long history of fires in this area, and we must be vigilant in protecting lives and property. And the wonderful people who stand behind me today to protect everyone in a very tough economic time for people, we need the public's help and support. Thank you very much.
Next up, we would like to have Demetrius Schaefer, Alameda County Fire Department, come forward.
Good afternoon, Demetrius Schaefer. I'm the current president of the California Fire Chiefs Association, but more importantly, I think today I'm honored to speak as a deputy fire chief for the Alameda County Fire Department. The uniforms that you see behind you is a great representation of the partnerships that we have in the fire service. The Alameda County Fire Department is one of the largest regional providers. It is the largest regional fire service provider in Alameda County, and partnership is how we get things done. But today, I don't necessarily want to just talk about the partnership that we share as a fire service, both locally, state, and federal levels with all the different jurisdictions, but more importantly, the partnership we have with our community. Fire service is wholly dependent upon the community's involvement, and so you've heard today things about be ready. things about how you can get involved and what you should do in case there's an emergency. I want to emphasize to you, though, that it is extremely important, absolutely, that you are ready. But to be ready, you have to be involved. And to get involved, I mean, find out what is important in your area. Find out what you can do to help prevent fires. Find out what you can do that in case of a fire, how you can be part of the solution. Because as you've seen on TV, no doubt many times on real incidents, as our crews are trying to come in, the public is trying to get out. And it is a partnership between the two of us that allows us to do our job. And we wholly are dependent upon you, our community, to help us with that. Every single fire that starts represents a significant risk to the community, to your lives, and to the lives of our firefighters that have to respond to these fires. Yes, it's our job. Yes, we signed up to do that, but that doesn't mean that we want to lose any one of them. Every single one of our firefighters is important to us and important to you as the community. And so we ask that you get involved, you understand what the risks are in your community. You can contact any one of the fire departments, go to your local fire station, go to the websites that have been mentioned to find out exactly what you can do, what's important, and how you can be part of the solution overall. Our firefighters depend on us as a community to come together to ensure we prevent fires, to ensure that we're able to respond to them appropriately. We greatly appreciate the support that we've had from our community over many years, and we look forward to that in the future. As it's been said already, our fire seasons are changing. We seem to continually expand fire season each year depending upon the conditions, and those conditions seem to be worsening for whatever reason that is. Some say it's the environment. I happen to believe that that's a large part of it. Some say it's how we've sprawled out into urban areas and from urban areas into rural areas. I happen to believe that is part of it as well. But it's the reality. And so we need to be more prepared than ever. We need to understand that these fires can strike at any time throughout the year. We're just more susceptible to them as the sun comes out and things dry out, as Chief Pemlott said. So again, I appeal to you to be involved, to find out what you can do to be part of the solution, to find out what you can do to help your fire department, who is here for you and works for you, to do a better job to help protect and serve you, because your life is what is most important to us. And then we look at your property and the environment. So thank you very much. I appreciate it, and I will turn it back over to Chief Pemlott.
Thank you, Chief Schaefer. And you heard the Chief talk about cooperation and partnerships. It's no accident that you see the variety and collection of patches and individuals behind me today. No fire agency in California can do this alone with the level of fires and disasters and workload that we have in the state. So we are working very close together across the state in this partnership. And as Chief Schaefer said, we're asking for the public's partnership. I want to introduce our last speaker as we talk about partnerships and how we leverage resources in this state. The Adjutant General of the California National Guard, Dave Baldwin, is a key player along with all of the men and women of the armed services, in particular the National Guard, as they step forward to provide surge capacity and resources to this state in the time of need. With that, I'd like to ask General Baldwin to step forward for a few remarks.
Thanks, Chief. The California National Guard has been working very aggressively this year to ensure that we're ready to deploy a full spectrum of military capability in support of civil authorities during this year's fire season. We've been training hard with our interagency partners at CAL FIRE, the United States Forest Service, CalEMA, and numerous local jurisdictions to ensure that our air crews are trained, all our helicopter crews are trained to drop waters on fires, and that we have manpower and equipment available to meet whatever needs arise. This year, in addition, we've reached out to both the Navy and the United States Marine Corps and begun partnering them in the firefighting efforts. We're working to help train their air crews, and we're working to help deploy their capabilities so that we have, again, a full spectrum of military capabilities for whatever needs arise. Thank you.
With that, I would like to thank all of our fire service and other partners that took the time here today to make these presentations and support this critical event. I would also like to thank the news media for taking the time also to participate with us. We can't get the message out to the broad spectrum of residents, property owners, and others in California without your help to disseminate that. And so it is key to have you here today and throughout fire season and throughout the year as we bring these messages forward to the public. With that concludes the formal presentations, and we'd like to open it up to any questions that the media may have for any of the fire service and other professionals that are here today. Okay, with that, we'll go ahead and conclude the formal piece. All of these individuals will be available for one-on-one interviews or discussions as you wish. Again, thank you very much for being here today.